Hello and welcome back to the North American LCS. Thanks for hanging out. We close out our day with the Golden Guardians versus FlyQuest. And first up, selecting on the blue side as we get into game, it is the Golden Guardians. That means in the top lane, it is Lourlo roaming around in the jungle. Contractz calling shots from the mid lane. High, Deftly at bot lane with his veteran support, Matt, and Coach Loco Doco.
Yeah, who we kind of just heard from as well.
Yep, absolutely.
And that means on the red side, it's going to be FlyQuest. Top lane, Flame. And the rookie in the jungle. Mid, Keane is still subbing in for the team.
Yep.
Wildturtle bot, the only returning member. And support Stunt with Coach Rapidstar.
Crazy picks. The mentality that Rapidstar brings to the team should be pretty cool for FlyQuest as they get into the season. Now, for a team without a lot of expectations coming from the offseason, FlyQuest made a big splash in week 1 by taking down TSM.
Yeah, and pretty much was the person that I was looking for in that matchup, and he ganked TSM pretty consistently, and they won with Keane, the mid lane sub. Remember, Keane was from their academy team,
right,
and he was somebody that they weren't expecting to have to pull in, but Fly, who's supposed to come over, is still having some issues with the visa, so they're using Keane right now.
They are keen on that, if you will. We'll see if he can keep making FlyQuest fans proud as they go against the Golden Guardians, who did not manage to make headlines with their week 1 games.
Yeah, ended up going 0-2, and like we said and heard in the interview, there's still questions around who's going to be the carry of the team of Golden Guardians. We know High's the brains, but who's going to be the bronze? Who's going to be the person that he's going to command to body the enemy?
Who's the next one to take on the plethora of bodies? We will have to find out. Golden Guardians here, looking at Deftly on your screen, somebody that feels like he could learn a lot from Matt, become a very strong carry in the bot lane there, especially with the guidance of High, that guy in the mid lane with the voice.
Yeah, if you look at him, he's kind of flanked by High and Matt, and as the new guy, and we've heard about his mentality where it's quite good and he's just eager to learn. Well, he's soaking everything up right now, and you're kind of waiting for that sponge to get squeezed and see what comes out of it, right? What is he able to throw down onto the rift?
Or does he absorb everything and just become that much bigger? We'll see. We are into picks and bans for our final game of week 2, day 1. And it's Golden Guardians versus FlyQuest.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this mid lane in particular. The junglers in particular. That is my featured matchup in this one for me, because Contractz, he was rookie of the split in spring 2017, and a rookie jungler who just took down Mike Young, rookie of the split from 2017 summer. He's kind of going down the line of rookies who had won that award previously.
Yeah.
If he's up against Contractz here, who was at Worlds just this last split, see if Anda is able to actually come out on top, because he gave TSM a run for their money. Really did make them pay with his Zac pick.
So we banned out Azir and Gangplank on the other side. You see the Malzahar getting taken out. Looks like Keane wants to give himself a decently advantaged matchup.
And you were talking about it to me between the break, where Keane actually has just been playing with this team. They actually got somebody else, Pekinwolf, to play in Challenger, or I guess Academy.
Academy, yeah.
All right. Pardon me, it's Academy, yes. To play in their Academy roster so that Keane can focus his scrim time on the main team. So he's not doing that split like Acadian was last week, and he's only focusing on this team.
And it really, for him, it looks like kind of riding a bike. No training wheels necessary. LCS or not, he comes in, he can play those champions to quite a high level, even under pressure, and finds himself getting those bans targeted at him with Azir at the beginning of the game. Still has a Cassiopeia that he could be using for FlyQuest, but definitely a player we were not expecting to be making such waves here on the FlyQuest squad to start things off. Kalista makes it through the pick and ban phase, not a very usual thing, and gets locked in by Golden Guardians for Deftly.
Yep, go over to Deftly, somebody that we're looking to see step up on the Golden Guardians, especially against Wildturtle and Stunt, who have actually not had a great start to the split in terms of their stats. I believe they have the most deaths on their team between the two of them, whereas the rest of the team, has been pulling their weight in some of their matches, but really waiting for Turtle to come back online, and if they'll pick the Ezreal into this, gotta have those skill shots on point.
Absolutely. We saw the Alistar hovered for just a moment. Be a decent pick here with the Kalista on. They don't have him to throw in.
Yeah, you don't want to give that over as well, because then you just have the cow ball to throw in.
Every time.
Able to double knock up multiple people. And Matt, I always think of him as, the guy who played Bard a whole bunch, but also big on wanting to engage. And if you can give him a champion alongside him that helps him engage and be able to make a mistake or not have to worry about getting the perfect engage, the Kalista definitely helps him with that. It'll give him more confidence here. And they're going to pair it with the Thresh.
Ooh. just the Taster's Choice composition, as well as giving the ball in there, so they actually get the Orianna shockwaves to come through. I'm surprised we haven't seen too much Orianna this split already. It is a lot of the mid laners' highest played throughout a lot of their history.
Yeah, when we actually go back to thinking how these matchups used to go, remember, Ryze used to be countered by Cassiopeia, then Orianna would counter Cassio, and then Ryze would counter Orianna. So in the sense of, you know, that typical triangle, it would kind of dictate that Hai went for the Orianna for some team type of kind of wombo combo composition, instead of just picking for the lane, because that would be something that Orianna does not fare too well in.
Pretty good damage coming from both sides with a bit of protection to start things off.
Yeah, and I like the fact that they picked Braum here, because Braum's going to do two things. Braum is going to stop the Orianna ball from going really far, and you'll be able to block it, and it kind of stuffs an Ornn pick, because Braum is the counter to Ornn, where you can stop the ultimate with your Unbreakable and just destroy the Ram instantaneously.
Saw Elimination having his hand at that a few times. It's definitely an interesting ult to try and block as well, deciding which way you're going to get it or not, figuring out where it's coming from. Here, Keane blocks that in for Stunt as we now start to pinch jungle and top lane, as we see the Alawi taken away from Flame and the Vladimir from Lourlo.
Yeah, they're taking a lot away from this top lane. Lourlo hasn't really had the greatest start either, having to go up against Huni, I believe, and then not flaring too well. Of course, same thing happened for Flame, where he got Flame Horizons at the end of the game by Huni. And so we're seeing a lot of bans, 3 so far, get thrown towards Flame by Golden Guardians. Question is there a fourth one they're going to throw up at that champion pool? Yes, there is a fourth ban towards Flame in the top lane. They're just trying to relieve pressure off of Lourlo and potentially give him a neutral or even matchup. And yeah, I like the Ornn pick. Take it away. And even if Golden Guardians picked it, you would have kind of the counter here. But with the Fiora banned out.
What a perfect champion for Flame.
Okay,
great.
I can see that. I was like, stylistically,
everything.
Not really. I'd rather see him on some intense carries.
This is true. Just go hard, even if they lock Camille in topside or something crazy. Is Fiora and Alawi taken away?
Yeah, Fiora and Alawi are actually considered the 2 best counters to Ornn. Alawi started seeing more and more play because people were like, Ornn is ridiculous, what can I even play into this? And then people started realizing Alawi's actually pretty good. And then Fiora is the other champion that just tank shreds, doesn't really care about all of your resistances, goes for that % HP true damage. So with both those banned by Golden Guardians, makes the Ornn pick a little more obvious for FlyQuest.
Lourlo playing a very historical champion for himself as he goes back to the Maokai, and we have Contractz on the Rengar. Always been kind of a, or had a favoritism for the Graves, the Rengars, the early aggression champions in the jungle, so this should play perfectly to him.
I remember Freak just kind of popped in my head as shouting out how many solo kills Contractz had in that one game last year. No, there was the Rengar game where he was just obliterating, where it's like X amount of kills for Contractz, solo kills, that over and over again. So he has popped off on this champion before. But Lourlo, in the top lane, gives a lot of gank assistance on this Maokai. I know that this is a champion where Lourlo came in and it was like, this guy is so good at bruisers and carries. Then they started putting on Maokai. The stream even has, I believe, a Lormao. It was just a little sapling emo for himself because he's just been kind of relegated to that champion and playing tanks in the top lane ever since his professional career kind of started.
It's like, this Aurelia player is great at Maokai.
Yeah, Aurelia, Griffin, right? Fiora. But no, Maokai all day, every day for the team. But now they have a little bit more for that Orianna to work with. The Rengar-Orianna ball combination is what you can see them going for, despite picking it into the Ryze. Whereas now, on the other side for FlyQuest, they have a Zac and again on this champion for those long-range engages. And there's a lot of engage potential here with Flame, with the ultimate as well on the Ornn.
All right, Golden Guardians looking to set themselves up here for possibly a first win. FlyQuest 1-1 with their defeating of TSM along the way to this game right now. We're about to be on to the Rift. Both compositions, pretty good fight squads on either side. We should have an action-packed game.
That's the thing. I want to see the teams kind of go against each other and just constantly try to fight because of the fact that they have all this engage on both sides. Ornn, Zac, you have Ryze who can even root and catch. But we're expecting a little bit more blood to be shed in this game.
Hopefully.
Well,
we always hope for the early kills.
there are a lot of FlyQuest fans in the audience. I remember when they went up against TSM, the TSM chants were actually drowned out by FlyQuest fan chants. And that was impressive because I don't think I've ever really heard that before, especially in the NALCS studio, where the FlyQuest chants had overtaken them. And beating TSM really has a lot of people watching FlyQuest right now going, all right, how good are they? Was it fluke? What happened? Kind of the contenders-pretenders conversation, but not for the top of the table, but for more of, hey, how good is this team? Still getting a gauge on them.
I mean, even from, analyst test to in-game, we look at Anda as the player to watch this week because of the moves he's making in that rookie position. And because, the questions are of a positive kind of light is where could they go from here? Keane actually subbed in the mid lane, still doing well there. Things that actually could cause trouble to teams in the early part of a season.
Yeah, and Anda, he was somebody that role swapped from top lane. Used to be in Challenger, named as Chirong. He's Balls' cousin from Cloud9 back in the days, and then FlyQuest. Now on FlyQuest himself, but remember, he was actually in the Korean solo queue at the top of the ladder as a sub for Immortals alongside Stunt, where they had just climbed top 10 area, and that really put them on the radar for a lot of people. Even just checking out Anda's solo queue routes where he triple ganks top lane, kind of figuring out how this guy climbs so high so quickly. Who is this guy? But he definitely does kind of find the weak point and just push, gets the dagger in, and then twists it.
Absolutely. You just saw as well on Riot Games 2, the NALCS Lounge with Pooney and Sneaky and Freak memeing it out as they discuss the game and kind of get questions from social media. Awesome to check out. We're going to go ahead and watch it right now. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I always go back and watch it. I watched
it. It is great to go back and watch. The insight is awesome.
It was a lot of fun, Freak, not always my favorite, but,
let it all outside me.
No. But I definitely really liked what happened last time with it. So this time I'm excited to go back after this cast and watch it and see what they saw and what they talked about. But right now, seeing Contractz pretty much laying a bunch of wards, it's completely just warded up as they see him enter. But as the level 2 Rengar, it looks like it was a Wolves to red for Anda, and then it was Raptors in red for Contractz. So yeah, both of them trying to make early moves that are really weird, because Zach, usually you just don't do that. Usually you go for another camp that has something that can make use of your Q a little bit more. But he just wanted to protect his red buff, and so they actually set up for that, kind of sensing the Rengar would do that. And the wards that were placed, that's actually just really good foresight and thought from FlyQuest. But look at this. I was like, no way is he getting that blue. I was like, no way. Okay.
A lot of danger pings going towards the top side of the map, as Flame may feel he has someone behind him. Contractz actually made his way over to the other side of the jungle already, so he plays safe after getting a good push. And level 3 in. You can see the fog of war play here with Contractz. Keeping himself safe as High doesn't bait this in.
Matt with the roam, with the Thresh on the right, and Contractz with the Rengar on the left. Gonna go now.
Nicely done. Forcing the flash. Usually you kind of get thwarted by the minion wave, but they had a situation that would work for both sides. And causing Keane, the guy who's had a lot of great pressure for FlyQuest, to have to blow that early.
You have to watch out, though, if you're Matt in terms of levels in this bottom lane. Because when you make plays like that, you put your AD carry a bit behind in CS, and you also go down in levels and experience, and even using your Relic shield stacks a bit. So we'll see if they're able to catch up here. It was a stacked wave and slow push, which allowed them to kind of not get hurt too much for that play. So yeah, Matt actually, does a good job in terms of the timing. So completely fine on that roam. I like it.
Very heavy pings in the early game. Trying to keep those comms up as any way they can. Saying there's danger coming from Contractz, possibly on that top side of the jungle. Looks like Anda's gonna clear that side of his Flame. 28-26. He keeps using that Ornn passive to hang out in lane and kind of just get his items completed as he builds them. 2-tier stack. Turtle and Keane as they get themselves a little more built up. Probably gonna be that slow early game coming from FlyQuest here, as they'll be happy to fight with their scaled up champions.
Oh, Matt.
Uh-oh.
Hand in the cookie jar.
Yep, hatching a ward there, but has a good amount of support. Contractz just a little too far away to activate out of the brush there.
A good control, though, from FlyQuest to not overcommit, though, with Contractz in the area. Because I don't believe they saw him until a little bit after. Their ward had just expired. So yeah, they saw him right as the ward was expiring. So caught me there with the Tri-Brush ward.
And lucky.
See, those are the things that it's like, when you look at it and go, okay, there was no ward there, but there actually was a few seconds before. So able to see Contractz and then they don't overcommit. Still good though.
It's the exact reason why I'm not master. Yeah, just situations like that over and over.
I feel like with God Vision, it's, he experienced it and saw them.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Keane pretty low on mana, but still taking control of the lane a bit as he pushes high into the turret. Try to get a few attacks on to stop that just short and clean this up. 45 to 50. They're keeping that very even in the mid lane, and nobody really getting the pressure from the two we're watching early game. Onda and Contractz have been quite quiet to start things off.
I feel like they're just tracking each other, and Zombie Ward really does put a damper on your early paths. You put down wards, and then they just last for so long, and that was nerfed in 8.2, not in 8.1, which they're playing on. So you end up with like 4 minutes of vision on the one side off your wards, and so the Tracker's Knife is just getting a lot of value as well as your Trinket wards.
Yep. The stopwatch is probably slowing things down a little bit as you see that on 4 members of FlyQuest and 3 members of Golden Guardians.
And if you want to talk about things that slow down the game a little bit, I think Zombie Ward provides so much vision, and it becomes very hard as a jungler to actually navigate with a successful, or I would even say decent chance of a gank working out, right? Because before it was like, okay, when did they get Sightstone? When did they get Trinkets? Okay, they don't have any to use them here. But now it's like you walk by during that downtime, up Zombie Ward, caught out, damn, guess I have to go. And then when that happens, you're spotted, and then your other top side gets warded. Then you can just play safe on the bottom side when they see you top in the next few minutes.
Yep.
So Zombie Ward definitely slows things down and provides a lot of vision.
It could be a situation when you're like, oh, I found a ward. That's great, clear vision. Now you're like, oh, I found a ward.
Exactly. Like, found a ward.
There's probably 5 more around me. See where the vision continues. A shockwave into the distance, which means the follow-up damage isn't there, along with the mana from the rest of High as far. But that is going to be a push towards mid lane. Talking about vision, they're going to have to place it a little differently for the Zac. And High gets himself just out of that hit by Onda.
So Onda did what I actually think more people should do.
Do tell.
So when you're playing Zac and you use your Q, your stretching strike, a lot of people will aim it at the champion and then hit a minion, right?
Wait, you pull them together.
Yeah, but actually what you should do is you should hit the minion with your Q, because it's not going to move or juke you, and then you auto-attack the champion. So he went to go Q the minion, and Keane cleared the minion wave. So it was gone. He had nothing to actually stretch to. So I actually like that a lot, though.
See if he can get it over again. The quick thinking, fortunately thwarted by Keane in the mid lane. 0-0 still as we start things off. Like we said, tiers stacking as well as Catalyst now on Keane's Flame to keep them sustained up in lane as they continue to level. And High will head over and pick up his blue buff. Nicely transferred by Contractz. 6 is now, however, for that mid lane. Shockwave was used, but up shortly for High, and we may see Keane get a little more attention.
Yep, and then the stopwatches. I don't think stopwatches actually, like, people really consciously think too much about it. I think that they'll go, okay, this is the time we make a play, and then the stopwatches come out, and everybody just trades them. As opposed to it really slowing down the game. I think there's a lot that actually goes into that. And in 8.2, there were some changes to things like Relic Shield and Fleet. Footwork still around, but mostly the healing in this game is from the fact that there's all of those Relic Shields in the bottom lane. But we will see some of those stopwatches soon. I'm trying to count how many there are. 4 on each side? Right? No, it's 7 total.
I did see Turtle's Dematerializer earlier as well.
It's interesting because I've seen Minion Dematerializer. Both mid laners had it this game, and then Wildturtle had it too.
Right.
But the Minion Dematerializer on a lot of champions, I think Ryze is one of them that actually very much so benefits from it later on from having the wave clear with the E and the Q. Allows you to get those melees a little bit easier. Doesn't have too much trouble clearing caster minions anyway. And I think Zoe's the other one that really benefits from it. Because if you see a minion that has...
Blast a wave.
Well, also, if you see a minion that has the Zoe W on it...
Just take the balloon.
You can just run up, and instead of having to, like, kill it, you just put the Dematerializer on it as you're approaching, and then you can go ahead and pick it up. But wait, first ultimate here from the Rengar. Very important. Let's see where it lands.
Contractz looking to get crazy high, gets himself into a good position. The ball sits, but it's not in range for the shockwave. Stunt going low. Unbreakable's there. Stopwatch saves the shockwave, but Turtle's in a bad spot. Stunt's gonna go down with one more auto attack, rended to the ground by Deftly as he starts turning Fly into pin cushions. Here, however, comes Flame, knocks up Deftly, and it's gonna be high and Deftly with 500 HP amongst himself.
Turtle
now
goes forward.
Low. Turtle's been in a great spot, kept protected by the team. He puts the shell on as he goes deep. A Mystic Shot connecting with Deftly in a very elongated fight there. 2 for 1, I would say. 2 for none, actually.
Yeah.
Outside of FlyQuest.
Wildturtle giving him the
Stunt
classic.
did go down.
Giving him the flash forward there to pick up some kills. Love seeing that out of him, but very aggressive. And yeah, that fight, I mean, that had the Midas touch, man. That one right there. So many hourglasses, or I guess stopwatches used.
Absolutely.
It said they were going to be used soon. Not really all of them in the same fight. But Lourlo, of course, didn't have the TP, so that was an advantage for Flame coming into the fight.
Yeah.
And that gave FlyQuest a little bit of that upper edge. But this is going to be great for that dragon.
Nice solo gold for Lourlo. He gets to hang out topside, and the team bot side tries to start something up.
There's so much to consider here, because Contractz and Matt are coming in from the right. Kai found a way to get away from the Ryze and the Zac and get down. That forces the flash out of Keane with the ultimate, and Hai plays this so well. But then the fact that Wildturtle gets over the wall, gets to run back around, and then this Ornn ulti slows 3, I believe, forces Matt to get away with a flash, and then the chase afterwards. Flame with a really good engage there to kind of follow it up, but not quite able to get Hai, who shields himself.
Almost enough with the Bellows Breath. Didn't give him the damage. That's a lot of flashes we went around. You look at the summoner spells, and quite a few people do not have an escape from what would be an Onda initiation. And that could be big if they try to rinse and repeat on the side of FlyQuest. 2-1, gold lead still in favor of Golden Guardians. If it were to be called a lead, the gold is very close right now. Looks like a little bit of dragon control as FlyQuest already has Infernal. They're going to set up the wards here to keep bot lane safe and pushed up a little bit more.
You just mentioned something that I actually can't get out of my head is Bellows Breath from, hold on though. Looks like they're gonna go forward. Stunt very aggressive.
Deftly gets hit, 1-2, dodges out on the True Shot Barrage, and they do not connect with the crowd control.
All right, but yeah, the Bellows Breath, because it is actually called that. It's called Bellows Breath, which just doesn't sit right with me for like an ability name, because it's an action, right? It's like if you called it Throws Spear or Throws Hook, he bellows breath. It should be like Flame Bellow or something, right?
I hear you.
That actually annoys me. It's like tosses sapling, bellows breath.
All right, I'm going to call it Hot Air just for you.
Thank you.
All right, we're good.
The flame breath,
Unstoppable Hot Air.
Even
Being hotfix, not patch.
if it was
or
just
changed,
a name,
I should
right?
say.
If it was like a name, unless Bellow was like somebody's, that was like a proper noun, right? The god Bellow with his breath.
Honda looks like he could get himself into a 4 situation here. He gets out. He'll be all right though. 13.5 minutes in, almost got that passive used in his own initiation. Oh, the Forge God runed up, so he's gonna get that brittle attack on. Flame tries to put the additional damage down, but Lourlo says, "You are staying right here. I'll protect my mid lane carry." And the tree comes up big, delivering a quick present to himself. Does he have any more as they start to go under the turret? Here comes Deftly, Fate's Call, and Flame looks like he's gonna be cooked up here. Contractz comes up with that kill as Golden Guardians start to move around the map.
The Golden Guardians now get the push on the mid lane here. Will they be able to answer this turret?
Just a few minions.
Push it in.
There it is.
They already have that top one down, and they have Demolition.
Little boom boom on the Demolish. A sapling there to keep a few more members of FlyQuest at bay. And we'll get a second turret of the map. Both to Golden Guardians taken down now. They have easy place to put their focus after this engage.
And then the ultimate from Flame to try and get them in on the high, but they can't actually completely finish him off. Super slow motion there. We saw the interrupt on the Realm Warp. And so Keane gets picked up, even though they were kind of relying on him to get them all out. And Flame gonna throw out his just to buy more time. Yeah, interesting fact. I was just told that a bellows with an S at the end is actually one of those things that blacksmiths use, you know, the accordion-looking thing?
Yeah.
Interesting. So it's not actually bellows. That's how it reads to me, right? It's like,
see, look at that.
But
and you have just been untilted from a tiltable factor in your life. That's so great.
I feel,
what a great weekend.
I feel like I should jump in solo queue immediately.
You good to go. Tilt again. Oh, a lockdown on Stunt. The Unbreakable says this fight does not continue for now. Summoner spells in that bot lane are up as well as they just give each other a little what for a second. Those tiers still stacking up for both Keane and Turtle before they change those out into an upgraded item. Remember, no more stopwatches on the board, so whatever initiations come in, only the abilities are what will save you. Blues in mid as they just farm it out, 144 to 162. Nice job by Keane. He has successfully kept himself up in a lot of his games. He has 0 picks, a little bit easier. Doing a great job here on the Ryze against the Orianna.
Yeah, up in CS, doing a great job for himself. Highest CS in the game. And has that wave clear because of the minion dematerializer, where the Ryze, I believe, checking his skill order right now, yes, it's 3 points Q, and then you max spell flux, so he has 5 in his E. And this allows him to pretty much clear those minion waves pretty easily. We'll see right here. Almost on those melees. Not quite, but still. That's really good for Ryze anyway, though.
I think something's gonna happen up here.
Ah, the bellows breath. It just annoyed me.
What if,
like,
so what if he actually took out one of those things and just kind of blew it in your face? Like,
that would that would feel better.
Be like, no, stop it! Ah! Be like an annoyed dog.
But it's like not even like an apostrophe, right? Like where it's like the breath of a bellow. But that's what it's supposed to be. It's bellows breath, which apparently has an S at the end of it all the time. So.
Sorry, I'm taking you to Champs Design Monday morning. We're gonna talk about
No. They're right. I'm wrong.
2K gold lead here for Golden Guardians. Let's see if they can push this. The team looking to find out who's going to be that main communicator. I'm sorry, who's going to be that main carry with the voice of High behind them.
Yep. TP flank from Lourlo.
Loco saying as well.
Whoa!
It's going to be big. Realm Warp out to safety. Is it though? Golden Guardians able to follow this fight. High just behind. Shockwave still to be used. He's on the top side of the fight. Lourlo taking quite a bit of damage. Matt gets himself to a bit of safety as he's now behind the team. They find Onda, and that's pretty nice being one of the tankiest members on the team. Golden Guardians swoop in for the kill.
Man, that fight went downtown. I couldn't even follow half of that one because Lourlo's TPing in on the side.
Yeah.
They all Realm Warp to basically where he's coming in, and Matt just flies in. He Supermans himself in there.
Gotta be ready. Things are going in a split second here for Golden Guardians. It looks like it's been enough to throw FlyQuest for a loop in these last few plays. Remember, Shockwave held by High in the last fight. Could be a Contractz or Lourlo delivery. And they get a TP out. Still feels pretty good to have Keane expend that.
Exactly. Prevents the dive, though, so it seemed like it was necessary. The Dragon went over to FlyQuest. We'll see this one more time. Keane saying it's time to get out. Right to where Lourlo is.
Here we go.
Onda gets left, and then Matt, woo, right in. He's actually just regrouped, but the blast cone stays alive this whole fight, by the way. I have no idea how that little cone has not been hit by anybody, but they're all just focusing on each other. And then High was able to get kind of picked up by Onda there, taken to the top side of that fight, and then Onda just dies, and they all collapse on him. But interesting that that fight went that way, because I expected that to go FlyQuest's way with the positioning after Matt took the hook, but everybody was able to follow up and file in very quickly.
Coming up on 20 minutes into the game, our last game of the day. If you do wish to watch more League of Legends over the weekend, there's more games, but also the EU LCS rebroadcast just after the NA LCS.
Or, you know, you can just watch NA tomorrow.
True. True. I'm going to. I'll watch both.
Will you, Rib?
Probably.
Okay.
It's easy to have on at home. Great background.
Great to pay attention. What background? All right.
Well, if you've already watched the games.
Oh. But yeah, right now we're seeing both these junglers kind of have interesting performances. Both of them have 100% kill participation in this early part of the game.
Yep.
Like I was saying, I was looking at Contractz and Anda and saying, who's going to get the better of this matchup? And Contractz has this pretty much signature champion for him on this Rengar. He's been making it work. Not a lot of people have been playing this champion, but we asked him who's going to be the carry of Golden Guardians early on in this split. It looks like, you know, Contractz is stepping up a bit here.
He knows and feels comfortable in this sort of position, putting himself out on a limb in the early part of the game.
Oh boy,
On
the limping Rengar in the back of the pit.
a
Will
very
they fight
long
him?
limb. He's going to go ahead and
Get away!
shoot out. Bye-bye. Keeps himself safe. Obviously, FlyQuest knows the ultimate of Contractz is down, so they feel a bit safer to do some roaming. Gotta watch Deftly here on the bot lane. Him and Turtle going back and forth, but not able to get that damage to stick on each other.
Wildturtle going forward onto Deftly.
I'm getting a little sticky now. Able to walk up above that one. Stunt comes to help him, and it may get the pressure from Onda here to be able to take down the turret if they stay for long enough. Denying the wave quickly just in front of the turret. FlyQuest says, we kind of need to make some moves. No turrets down on the map yet. An influx of gold for Golden Guardians in those first turrets have really put them in the driver's seat.
Yeah, being up 2-0 in those turrets really does mean a lot for them, despite the team fights going the way of Golden Guardians. But remember, you think about High in FlyQuest last split, where even Sneaky said it, where playing against High, you don't know how these skirmishes are going to go. He just seems to have a really good read on when minion waves are going to crash and how to take those fights. And for FlyQuest later on in the split, it was more of a double-edged sword. They would go for those fights. They wouldn't really work half the time. But right now, Golden Guardians, with High kind of calling those shots, it's been working for them so far in this early game. And the fact that they've been able to have those turrets to boot and get some damage on this third one here has helped them out a ton, because this composition does have a lot of early game power. The Rengar, the Kalista spikes it pretty early on, and doesn't have that hyper scaling where you can really shred into a tank. The objective control can help launch you to a faster late game than your opponent. But I really do consider Golden Guardians composition to have a little bit worse scaling, but then also they have really good objective control and zone control. So the fights could be laid out in a way where they could take it.
To clear up the jungle. Looks like Golden Guardians is able to get a few more of those deeper wards in to make sure he's not going to be throwing out any unseen engages. A lot of pink wards for Golden Guardians right now could outdo the vision control here that FlyQuest has, and already being placed down. Things they can protect. We kind of see how they want to play out this next portion of the game, and they're going to start hovering towards that top side. Baron's up. Start making that vision clear out where you need to get that objective. 38.2 to 36.6. Ults are up across the board. And a lot of the summoners are as well. It could be an explosive fight here as a lot of the teams gather in mid.
Yeah, we still have Deftly pushing on the top side. Clearing that out with Baron on the table and Infernal Drake in 15 seconds. You do have to cover kind of both objectives here. Usually you'll put wards at Baron and then you'll put your bodies at the Infernal Drake. So you can take the easier one while you monitor the harder one to take. Ooh!
Where's the abduction? Nobody gets taken by Onda. They get out nice and safe. A quick box. Does not allow anybody through. Contractz wants in though. Quick shield command protect from High. Call the Forge God back in. Only hits Lourlo and Contractz as High wants to move the ball forward. A possible shockwave coming through as it has been used, and they start to reel in the team of FlyQuest. Onda getting kited out here. Definitely getting all of the spears that he wants, and they're going to focus on the passive of Onda. He picks up the kill there as Keane works himself out. A very chaotic fight, but just around the walls and the corridors of the jungle, favoring Golden Guardians.
Man, I gotta say, these are just going back and forth in terms of this, but Golden Guardians getting the better, and I really like the way Matt played that. Didn't have to use his flash at all, gets thrown in, and really just causes chaos. And then when Anda's about to go back in, he gets hooked out of the air. And now they're just focused right on that Baron. Like I said, the early game spike for this Golden Guardians team is better. These team fights expect to go in their favor because of that. And now they have that Baron to help push them to an earlier late game. And look at this from Matt. He's gonna hook him out of the air. Gets Onda, pulls him into the team. He's the next victim.
Contractz living as well, pushing him that much farther to get themselves inside the fight where everybody else was able to protect Contractz.
Yeah, and this ain't your scared Rengar. This guy has Duskblade, Guardian Angel. He's not going for that tank build at all. He's full damage here. He's become very difficult to navigate in the mid-late game team fights, but you got a snowball. Keane, though.
Realm Warp just a quarter from being up, and that's going to be enough for Golden Guardians to put Keane back down. His flash was used in that situation as well, so if they want to keep engaging, it looks like they're going to have that possibility.
Yeah, being a quarter up, definitely not up, and it's more than enough for them to actually catch out Keane, who was backing, but then Matt went for the flash. I said he didn't use his flash in the previous engagement. He flashed backwards, played, and then they were able to pick up Keane, and that leads them to taking these turrets.
Slowly pushing in. Lourlo keeping the split push on that mid lane now. A lot of wards are behind Golden Guardians. There's a possible for the escape attempt and the initiation coming from Flame, but right now he's in the eyes of Golden Guardians and cannot make a move without them seeing it. Bellows Breath trying to proc that brittle for the extra damage. Can't get in for range, and he's really the one in the front line now, throwing out volcanic ruptures to turn Golden Guardians away. Kind of seems like they're just scoffing at it, waiting for the minion wave, and they're going to add the pressure once again. Ooh. Lourlo finding some pressure. Doesn't look like they're able to activate on the crowd control of Anda. Now it's back and forth. They're buying time between these waves to see if they can find a way in to get themselves out of this pressure.
Yeah, but with that Baron buff and the low wave clear, like if you look at the composition of FlyQuest, you can't really wave clear. It's not a wave clear AD carry. And then Ryze, even with the minion dematerializer, will struggle to prep the minion wave because he has to do E twice, which has a decent cooldown on it, and has to have it spread to the caster minions. And even then reaching the cannons becomes difficult for him. So very low on that wave clear, whereas Golden Guardians, they get to keep going for these sieges.
Very, very close.
This is more of a scouting ultimate. With the turret going down, they could actually go for an engage. Somebody overstays.
Not the tankiest person in the game if they can burst through him like that. Stunt possibly going down in this situation. Gets to stand beside his team after flashing away. But everything you can see happening in defense right now for Golden Guardians. Anda in the front actually procs the slingshot backwards, so doesn't have the pressure to add to the team now as the front steps torn apart by Golden Guardians.
They're going
almost looking for the rinse repeat. Beautiful call, the Forge God knocking up 2 members of the team as you have a resurrecting Contractz. Flame in the front, Stunt there to try and take it as Keane and Turtle deliver the damage, and they are finding their targets. Golden Guardian choked into the corridor that now favors Fly, but Deftly on the front rends out Stunt, as that was the wall of defense trying to help Flame now. Possibly getting back in, but cannot get the Searing Charge to initiate another fight. 1-4-2 in favor of Golden Guardians.
The fact it's only a 2-for-1 is huge, because the fact that Golden Guardians get to back with the Baron buff and get back out on the map with 4 people faster. This was one that was kind of all over the place, because this was engaged by Anda going through, and then everybody really wanted to get into this choke point here. See, this is when they took the turret with the Maokai ultimate and Contractz ulting to push up the side, but then it was really, it's actually another wave from now, so.
We all knew what you wanted.
Yeah, I wanted to.
And we were
×8 speed.
It's all right. It's all right. So Infernal, Ocean now keeping FlyQuest a little topped up and a little bit of damage here as they need everything they can get being pushed into their base by Golden Guardian, showing a lot of aggression and confidence in these plays coming out here, especially in week 2. A lot of the fans and the team themselves looking to pick up their first win.
Yeah, and looking for, you know, we were talking about who's going to be the carry, having that cohesion, Contractz, bringing in all that experience from Wolves in his rookie year, and his aggressive champions, allowing him to still play those aggressive champions, like he had played Rek'Sai full damage at Worlds, playing the Rengar still, and being enabled to do so alongside Hai, who picked not for the lane, but picked for the team, and that's what they're looking for, is that team cohesion, and we're seeing the engages, now that it's started off, with Matt at the helm of them, landing those hooks and going for those bold plays, which is something that in Matt's rookie split, I remember him going for, and when TL was in the semifinals, and then they fell off after that, and Matt really hadn't been himself, and now we're seeing more of those hooks, more of that Matt life coming back.
Matt life, indeed. Impressive as well for what he created in the bot lane with his bot lane carry. Definitely 6-1 and 2 this game, which now eyes become a little bit more on him. He's got to stay in a good position to deliver that damage, that ability they've built up on him throughout this game. Lourlo gets abducted, but that's all right. Doesn't look like he will stay long. Gets down to about half HP. Very nice redemption coming in. Actually keeps FlyQuest a little topped off during the fight. Lourlo, twisted advance towards the red buff, gets taken down. The Essence Flux comes through for the kill. of all the skills, Turtle just getting that last bit in there, and they're going to chase from the bot side now. Stunt. Keane is now routing off Golden Guardians, and this is where the game turns. It's about to be a party. Does the Shockwave turn the fight enough for Golden Guardians? Contractz comes on the backside, putting out, that's Onda, into passive mode, and now Matt has to run. Deftly can't get the kills in either. All the ults have been used, and the fight fizzles out for Golden Guardians.
Happy to see that from Wildturtle. I talked about how, he hasn't been performing so well in the week 1. Week 2 now off to a great start for him because he was the person who really needed to navigate these fights. He using his E constantly and chasing after those kills. Seems like that old aggressive Wildturtle style, but now we're seeing it here in full effect, and it's not being something that is double-edged right now. So far, it's been working out for him. He's kind of getting the team back in it.
FlyQuest feeling a little bit better about seeing themselves come out on top of the fight. Still have a bit of gold to go, a bit of pressure on the map to control for themselves before they can start making the big moves. They lose something like a Baron, and Golden Guardians is right back in the base. It started with Lourlo and a Wildturtle.
Lourlo took another step back because the redemption was about to go off, but then Wildturtle still chases, even in the face of Contractz, who's forced to flash away from Stunt helping him, and then the rest of the team is going to try to delay. Good ultimate there to cut off that route, but then everybody from Golden Guardians forced up, and they're thinking, all right, when they regroup, let's get a good shockwave, but Turtle is going to go over the wall, helps with kicking off high, and then the rest of the fight even defends, and there's blobs on the side.
A few more hits. Wildturtle getting that red buff. If they were to have any more extended fights, he cleans it up. 4-1-1 for him versus Deftly 6-1-2. Good participation in the fights from both of the bot laners. You can see where the focus is now on the Contractz. Instantly deleted.
If you had blinked, you wouldn't have known that he was there to begin with.
Not at all.
And a pause.
Seems like he might have blinked.
Yeah.
In that play.
But it's very hard to navigate the Rengar, like I said, full damage right now in these fights. Just walking around the map with all these tanks around. It looks like Contractz actually being pretty vocal there. Yeah, I was watching it over again, and it looked like he just went back and forth 5 times or so on the wall, and then eventually tried to get away, and nothing really worked.
Quick Q didn't give him the distance he wanted as it kind of curved the wall, and we will see what they have to say. Definitely a position where FlyQuest is on the attack, and they have been. They feel very confident after being pushed back into their base and actually holding it quite well in the beginning with the amount of, I should say with the lack of wave clear they have and the amount of pressure that a Baroned up Golden Guardians was adding.
And we'll see what ends up, what the bug ends up being. We're having it reviewed on stage by our crew, and yeah, it would be huge because FlyQuest would be able to push in on the Baron with no chance of a smite steal and get themselves back in the game, because right now they're 4,000 gold down, and Contractz just got caught out. And we'll see what his bug was.
Seeing that jungle matchup, something we had kind of featured in the early part of this match. Onda playing very well on that jungle Zac position. Kind of not focused for the team, but still able to do a lot through picks and bans. It's not like, oh, we need Zac for him first. He can actually play something if he gets choked out. So being able to see that prowess come from the rookie player and they have that confidence in him is quite nice.
And we're seeing replay now. Contractz looks like he just got obliterated, but right before that, he walked back and forth across that wall like 3 times. So I don't know exactly what the bug could have been.
Investigating the cooldown of his Guardian Angel.
Ooh, okay. Interesting.
Maybe seeing the cooldown come up. But it doesn't seem like it is actually up once he's engaged on after we kind of see the play over and over here as Irene's checking it back. Once again, Baron was going to be the call for FlyQuest after this position, so Contractz making a very fast call to say, hey, I believe something else should have happened. FlyQuest also, as I said, coming back pretty aggressive from their base, so any mistake the Golden Guardians could have made here, it's definitely a big one. Definitely gets the team back in the game.
Yeah, so you're right. His Guardian Angel had ticked back up to display that it was off of cooldown. So it's a 300-second cooldown. and it displayed that it was off of cooldown. He didn't have the visual around him, though, but the item in his inventory was no longer grayed out, which should indicate that it's up, but you do have to kind of consider he built it out of stopwatch, and I believe that, right, yes, he did. I believe that stopwatch, the perfect timing mastery, is supposed to reduce the cooldown of Guardian Angel, Zhonya's, and Gargoyle Stoneplate by 15%, but it does not. I know that is an actual bug that we have with Guardian Angel where that is not giving it that 15% extra cooldown. It may have given it to the icon visually, but he still had about a 30 or 40 second window where it was not actually there just yet.
It would definitely change the consideration you have about staying a little longer.
Well, yes, so you can die a second time, but interesting.
Absolutely. Teams obviously be given the ability to chat here.
That is tough.
Throughout the support, or throughout the pause, I should say.
That is actually an incredibly tough one because I don't know if the team would have been able to do. I don't think he doesn't have flash, so he wouldn't be able to flash over the wall after his Guardian Angel came back up. But maybe he gets a lantern or something. So it's very hard to kind of navigate that because it's one that how much did this influence his decision making?
Oh, in consideration, do you make that play knowing you have another 15 seconds?
Yeah,
if that's the time, right? Speculate.
Then he wouldn't have been there, right? If that's what he was really keeping in his head and was conscious about. But still, interesting.
Absolutely.
But you do want to make sure that your Guardian Angel isn't bugged and just like never going to come up, right?
I'd say that's a safe bet. Absolutely do that. We'll have an ETA in just a moment for you as they survey what is actually happening with Contractz computer here. His Rengar play against the Zac so far been quite strong throughout the game. Kind of just adding pressure where it could be Deftly really becoming the carry of this one. And Lourlo had pretty great top lane game for the team. But it's just been FlyQuest now starting to come back, adding the pressure as we are at that point in the game. 31-52 in.
Had won the previous fight. Like I said, they scale. Remember, I said this game for Golden Guardians, they have the Rengar, they have the Kalista. These guys spike a little bit earlier than things like the Ryze, the Ornn, and the later game team fights. So it's definitely a bit of a timer for that full damage AD Rengar. And if this is what ends up, getting caught and then the Baron goes over, time's up at that point. And so that really does affect it. And so I think this is an incredibly hard one to figure out what would happen here. So the officials, of course, are going to be debating about this one and figuring out what the call is because, in all honesty, if it's something where, the bug is now known or whatever it ends up being, if it isn't going to come up, there's a lot to consider here. So I do expect this one to be not a quick one and done, hey, here's a present of a mouse kind of fix.
Well, no presents on this one, possibly. However, as we wait for the pause to be settled, let's go ahead and send it over to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Yes, not a hardware issue this time around. So while the refs investigate the pause and the supposed bug here, we're going to have a moment to talk about this series and the way that it's shaking out so far. Obviously, the both of you had looked towards FlyQuest to win it all, whereas the coin had picked Golden Guardians, really holding on for that 1 and 4.
Oh, dude.
By the end of the day.
I like how this was looking before the bugs started showing up again. They were turning it around.
But in actuality, when we look at these two compositions, one of the first things that jumps out at me is that Kalista pick. It's not something that we've seen played too often because it's usually on that ban table, but definitely one of the more early game oriented AD carries of the kind of meta pool that's available at the moment.
Absolutely. You usually see it banned as well. I think this draft is a little peculiar from Golden Guardians, actually. Looking at the team composition, this would be a very meta composition like 6 months ago, a year ago, right? Maokai top, Ori got the shield ball, great bottom lane. So you think it should be this really strong, cohesive mid-game team fighting comp, which it was. They had that 7,000 or 8,000 gold lead, but it's starting to fall apart a little bit here.
It's absolutely, like, so a bunch of these champions have been nerfed over time, so most of them are not as dominant as they were, but it still has a lot of synergy with it. Kalista Thresh is an extremely strong combination, and a lot of these are comfort picks for players. Like Matt's best champion is Thresh. High's was probably Ori last split, and then you also have the Rengar for Contractz, who's mostly known as the aggressive jungler. So while slightly out of meta, some of these picks, they do synergize together well and work with the players.
Well, and to that end, I mean, just when I look at Golden Guardians and in my head how this roster puts together wins, still a lot of people are looking at High as kind of having to be the puppet master with this younger roster. And in this case, I feel like they do have a lot of tools to execute on, certain plays set up by High. You've got engaged from a Maokai, a Kalista throwing a Thresh in, an Orianna ball on top of a Rengar. So there are plenty of tools to work with. But now it's about making sure that all 5 of those tools are being used at the same time, right?
Yeah, and it's one of his best champions too, right? He had a pentakill, I believe, in the spring split of 2017 when he was on FlyQuest, right? So we got that little vengeance match coming in right there. But I do agree with you that this makes sense for the FlyQuest team. Get everyone around him, he will shield and make everything work. But it just doesn't make as much sense in the context of the current meta.
That's a very good point.
And on the same side, like Flame, to switch it over a little bit to the FlyQuest side, with Ornn has not been particularly impressive for me. A lot of the time he's using these E's directly at people instead of walls, so it does feel like a bit of a funny mismatch where like Keane didn't get his ear, he's now on Ryze, and Flame didn't get bruiser or carry, he's on a straight tank, which is less impactful than we're expecting out of Flame generally. So it feels like, you know, Golden Guardians get this great draft for their players, and on the same side,
FlyQuest is learning how to play their champions.
more meta champions. They just are like, oh, I should put that at a wall for a knock-up instead. When there's 3 people next to the wall, I just try and hit them with.
They're learning. To be fair, they're learning quickly because, as you mentioned, Jet, that gold lead that Golden Guardians has built is beginning to slip away. But while we're in this pause here and we have the time, I do want to talk about a couple things. Pentakills, they earn fantasy points. Our newest segment, though, however, highlights the players who couldn't care less about the kill column and just think to themselves, I'm helping, presented by State Farm. In the last game of this day, around 17 minutes, Matt lands a hook that neutralizes the effect of a 3-man Ryze. Let's take a look.
TP flank from Lourlo.
Loco saying as well,
Whoa!
it's going to be big. Realm Warp out to safety, is it though? Golden Guardians able to follow this fight high just behind. Shockwave still to be used. He's on the top side of the fight. Lourlo taking quite a bit of damage. Matt gets himself to a bit of safety as he's now behind the team. They find Honda.
Down the right, down the right.
1K. I'm trying to sub.
I can shield you.
I'm going in.
I'm coming.
To the plant. They have flashes, guys. They have flashes. Matt, put me in. Ult me.
I got you. Zach step.
Look at
right side. We're fine.
Orange behind us.
I can shield you.
Turn
Careful,
back up.
come left.
Go bot tower,
Go back. I'm going bot.
I mean, just a funny interaction, as well as a nice little glimpse into the, the comms that, Golden Guardians has within the, the immediacy of a team fight.
So a little bit of a butt clencher. You could hear Mac kind of going like, I'm going in. Like, I didn't think this was going to happen, but I'm gone. So that was cool to see that they actually still managed to get the kill out of it. They do recollect themselves, and they're like, all right, come this way. Let's go bot lane. We still have a plan after what was a bit of a scramble.
Yeah, that was the first time that I knew that was possible. Like, I thought when you realm warp, since you're like disappearing from the map and reappearing somewhere else, that the hook wouldn't stay attached.
Disengage. Yeah,
so the fact that Matt was like very quickly like, I'm going in, right? That he wasn't surprised by it at all is pretty impressive to me.
Yeah, I'd have to look at that again, but I think since Thresh is already in motion,
do you think he's just like, oh, I'm going in, like he was surprised by it?
It pulls him to the new location or something? I don't know. It's very strange interaction.
Like a U-turn.
Yeah, kind of like, whoa.
Hard right. Oh, I'm going over here now. You guys want to come help me?
Yeah.
They pick up 1 kill in that fight. Didn't necessarily net them huge advantages as they trade away the Drake for it. But now here's where I want to get to kind of the state of the game as it currently is. We do see FlyQuest beginning to mount the beginnings of, a comeback. Given the compositions laid out and kind of that early game, mid-game focus from Golden Guardians, are they losing time? Are they running out of time here in terms of winning this game?
It's really hard to say. I think you can say it. You're going to say it.
Yeah, I think they're running out of time. I mean, Ornn has been better than Maokai, generally speaking, as a tank. Rengar is not going to do better than Zach in team fighting. Ryze is, generally speaking, a little stronger in the meta than Ori, though I think that's more team comp specific. And then Kalista, while very powerful in the meta, is a more early game focused champion. So I do feel like that window is starting to close out a little bit on Golden Guardians here.
Because if I had to say, like, the Ori would probably be better than Ryze in team fights.
Right.
And the Ryze hasn't been able to split push it all because they've lost map control. Then the Maokai can force fights very well. And I think that is a bit of a toss-up. But then you start talking about Kalista v Ezreal and Zach versus Rengar is when it becomes a little bit more clear, because I don't know who Rengar is actually assassinating. He can't get onto Ezreal.
Yeah, who's your target?
And Ryze is actually pretty bruisery, so you can't get burst by Rengar. So, yeah, if it's even gold 40 minutes in, I think I'd probably favor FlyQuest a little bit.
Right, so yeah, you get to that point where the Ryze got the Seraph's Embrace and the Zonies, plus the ultimate. You're not going to eat through that as a Rengar. Again, with the opportunity and the time, let's go ahead and take a look at a replay from this game. 23 minutes into the game, Golden Guardians, they get a 2-0. And the Baron here kind of starts towards the bottom side and migrates its way up towards the middle of the map.
And it's a fight that FlyQuest picks to go in on. You see Onda go flying in. Definitely a bit of a come-down game after what was a very impressive victory versus TSM. Here they get pulled to the choke point. Flame starts showing that ultimate to try and stop the engage from coming in, but there's just no way to stop them. They get the nice ult that pulls Turtle in, and now he can't get out. The follow-up coming in as well from Thresh.
And nice flash by Contractz right at the end there to get away from the flying Zac, who, again, unfortunately, kind of suicides. Onda is not having the same type of Zac game that he had before. And this time, the Ryze actually gets out, manages to teleport after stopwatching, and isn't followed by a Thresh. So he's had an adventure with his Ryze ultimate so far.
Still died about a minute later after they got the Baron buff from that replay, and then he goes back bottom. So, you know, he got out, went back in, and that was where it started to feel like, all right, Golden Guardians are really going to start taking this game.
I mean, let's be honest. We saw that play happen. Pretty much all of us turned. We're like, oh, that's the game, right? With the Baron being picked up and what they should be able to do with that Baron, the expectation was that Golden Guardians would close. They did build a large gold lead, and then we started to see the picks come through. You know, a kill here, a skirmish here, and now FlyQuest having, you know, chasing that river, and then ultimately here the pick onto the Rengar, still waiting to hear, you know, how that will be dealt with in terms of the bug.
That's a bug investigation with whether or not Guardian Angel was up, right? Or whether or not Contractz had reason to believe that it was up. That's what they're investigating, whether or not it's going to be Chrono broken or not.
All right, I'm receiving word. It looks like we are going to gameplay. So as we do, we're going to toss it back over to the casters. Guys, please take it away.
Thank you very much, Dash. We are currently upon the Baron attempt. FlyQuest taking out Contractz. The game will continue, and we will explain the current situation as it happens, flying back into the pause mode. If you want to cover Contractz, and we will actually have the discussion on what happens. Lourlo going back out of the pause actually had a blood splat himself, but Zyrene, if you want to talk to Contractz in his situation of the pause.
Yeah, so I explained the bug previously, but what ends up happening is all teams are informed every patch by the head referee of who or what bugs there are that are known that will not be remade for, and that one of them is the listed stopwatch into GA bug, where it's 45 seconds off of the actual timer, and then you have the visual indicator on yourself, but the icon will show that it is up, right? So that's what happened there. Is this is a bug that the teams are informed about, and you were not getting a remake for it. So Contractz would have GA at about 32 minutes and 5 seconds.
Right, and we will get Lourlo back into the game. Still the attempt for Baron will continue here, as it looks like they are still able to stave this off. Golden Guardians has that shockwave. They have the ultimates. They have Matt to disengage as well if they need to get themselves close and then out. And I see this being a pretty tough fight still for FlyQuest.
Yeah, without the Rengar, the big ball delivery guy, this Baron fight would be very hard for them to navigate.
True.
This Baron, right before the pause, actually did get quite low. It's about 3,700 HP. And Lourlo, you know, he's supposed to be the frontliner, right? He's supposed to be the person going in. So having a bug splat after you ulti and not being able to follow up, granted he is still like the furthest person forward, is big. You hope the pause came out really quickly for him, so that he's not too far out of the position that he wanted to be in. We'll see.
Well, momentum is there for FlyQuest to continue, but Golden Guardians knows they have, as I said, that fight. They could stop it. Said Lourlo's could be in position, and he is right towards the top side of that fight where he needs to be. Flashes down, but twist and advance would actually be his way in. He could still really disrupt the fight. Onda on the backside of Baron would be able to keep himself pretty far from any kind of disruption. And they may just have the smite on that Baron. Interesting play out here.
Yeah, the fact that Contractz is not up means they Golden Guardians securing with a smite would be very low probability. But of course, Shockwave plus Dissonance would potentially be enough at this point, because Onda is sitting at level 14 with an 800 damage smite. And High is at the point where he already has Death Cap and 2 items, so Shockwave plus Dissonance would do a decent amount of damage here.
Team talk time. Huddle in, huddle in.
I've actually never seen anybody actually move their chair behind somebody else's chair like this. Taking that back seat. Is the strategy talk. Oh my god.
What if the league had these? Be like, wait, they're about to do Baron. Let's pause. Tactical pause.
Yeah,
come over here. Come over to my monitor. Come over to my monitor. Everybody over here.
It's a longer pause.
I have an idea.
Yeah, it's a longer pause, so the teams are allowed to talk.
Of course.
I just remember back in the day when it was like, you know, you had these long pauses and everybody had to be quiet, and some players were like, my sanity, just sitting there, just completely silent.
Or the new subs that came in,
ones.
they'd be like, oh man, we're subbing, like, shh, no, shh, what are you trying to do? You trying to use a ban?
Yeah, but get to discuss what's going on. And it looked like Hai was kind of mapping out how they want to approach the fight. And that didn't look like he was saying, everybody retreat this way. It was like, hey, this is what we're going to do. Mess him up. We'll see what happens.
Lourlo on your screen. He got pretty banned out this game, down to the Maokai for himself, and still has done quite well. Good initiations, good attempts, or good teleports, I should say, as he attempts to get into the fights and has been behind the team to start things off. Kind of know him, as we said, as the old Relia, the Riven player, trying to do big things. But he's really taken to the tank meta when he started and can still bring that along.
Yeah, but so far, Lourlo doing well, and like the analyst desk said, though, the impact of the Ornn is a little bit higher.
Yeah.
Maokai's still great, but
True.
impact of the Ornn is a little bit higher, and Golden Guardians, they had that timer on them, and the time, like I said, if this Baron goes over, is probably up because FlyQuest will be in the game, and they'll be ready to go with that Baron buff. And so we're seeing if the bug splat affected the call or affected the gameplay of Lourlo, or how quickly, you know, that pause came out. Because that does actually matter in terms of positioning, right? There is a bit of a butterfly effect where even if somebody like DCs for 1 second, their character will start walking backwards, right? Puts you in a very weird spot. Definitely has not been, in my opinion, an easy day of calls for these types of situations. I just wish they never happened, right?
Golden Guardians still tanky for the situation that comes after this pause. You can hear and see the support, or that's actually Stunt, rather, chatting it up.
Man, that Snickers on their shoulder just...
Why wait?
I am hungry. I am hungry. But every time I see it, it's like the Snickers logo, I just never expect it to look like an actual Snickers. So it just made me realize how much of the word Snickers takes up the bar when you have it in your hands.
The team's still feeling pretty jovial about the game. Waves from Matt and the rest of them to the crowd as they wait to get back into this one. Definitely patience. This kind of messes with that mentality where even if you do kind of have the lead or have a role you're playing into for the moment, it slows down. You got to reassess it. Make sure the team is on the same page when you get back into game as well.
Yeah, it can definitely throw you off. You have to remember what cooldowns are used and kind of pause your state mentally, but still continue existing and going through and just gathering new stuff from your team and comms and the situation. But yeah, Lourlo and you saw Contractz there talking to each other about the pause bros. They're the ones causing the trouble. Nah. But it seems like they seem to be okay in good spirits. Hai was the one who seemed to actually look like he was very lost in thought on what they were going to do next, just racking his brain.
Yeah. So as we figure this one out, we are going to go ahead and send it back over to the analyst desk to kind of discuss what's been going on in the game.
Happy to see me again.
I was about to say, I had a feeling you guys wanted to hear more from us, so we're happy to deliver on that one.
What a roller coaster that just happened, right? The GA display bug for Contractz that he had been told about beforehand. Tough situation right there. So now he's dead. Immediately go into forcing Baron. Lourlo crashes, and they have to pause again. Like, I'm glad the refs are allowing them to discuss what's happening right now and reset the stage of the game, because that's mental boom in a box right
Exactly. That is not a situation any player in any sport wants to find themselves in a position in, right? Where a couple things are going wrong that aren't necessarily within your control. These are things these are obstacles you're going to have to overcome. And from a mental standpoint, two things happening, not 5 seconds apart in terms of, game time, essentially, that's insane.
Yeah, and just to clarify, from what I hear, they're investigating whether or not to chrono break the fight until just after Contractz had died, because that's when the Baron Force was happening, and they're seeing if the crash has had like a meaningful impact on the fight so far, because you don't want to restart the game like in the middle of a fight as far as chrono break goes. So that's what they're determining, and if they determine they want to do it, then they're going to have to chrono break.
And as you explained the process, I've received word that we are going to initiate a chrono break. So while they're getting that entirely set up, we'll continue to talk.
It's not a chrono break pre-Contractz kill. It's a chrono break post-Contractz kill.
Yes, before the crash.
Yes.
Two separate bugs, two separate incidents in which we're trying to resolve.
Is this because Sneaky is on the alt stream? I want to completely...
Actually, you know what? Because as soon as we were listening...
I knew there was someone I wanted to blame for this.
As soon as we heard on the alt stream we were listening to, as soon as there's a bug, Sneaky's like, remake! And you're like...
And he's like, and then he called it out. He's like, I know this bug, by the way. And he perfectly explained what the bug was. bug catchers. Here we get the look in right there as they work their way through this same situation. Tons of fun, meme-heavy stream over there. So if you guys want to check it out and hear from a world finalist in Huni who's made his return, as well as Sneaky, the perennial memer, please do. Please do. It's been a lot of fun.
The other thing that we were potentially thinking was the problem for all this was that the coin has to go 0-5 today. And it looked like Golden Guardians are going to win, so it's just like bug splat.
It's doing everything in its power.
Yeah, it's trying to be 0-5.
The universe will not allow.
I'm really excited for these predictions, actually. Mark has a chance to go 4-1. I have a chance to go 3-2. And if that happens, the coin is 0-5. Because the games are so hard, the coin can't even pick a single one. Dash.
So Mark brought this up
We flipped
off
the coin
camera.
before the day for every single game.
We
and
did.
Currently, it's 0-4.
To Mark's point, I flipped the coin.
Yeah, so you predicted all
It landed.
wrong.
And then I did one of these motions.
That's how you feel.
So if the coin goes 0-5, in actuality, the coin was 5-0, and I.
The coin landed on the face it wanted to, and then
You following our logic here?
I can follow
The coin's
there
like,
is
I wanna-
some logic, but that's like, I picked a 50-50, and because I picked one side, I mean,
And then all the other ones lost. Yeah,
it's
that's a
just-
good point.
it's
All right,
Yeah.
fine.
hogwash.
All right, leave it to Jad to ruin our
Party pooper.
All right, but again, we're working our way through that chrono break, trying to get you back in the game as quickly as possible. Until that time comes, kind of want to open up the discussion beyond the scope of this game. We've already kind of worked our way up until the point of the pause, and I want to look at the league again. At the end of day one, we've talked about the surprising 3-0 teams and the rest of the league, but when it comes to volatility, when it comes to patch changes, I want to kind of identify what we expect or want to see out of teams in these coming weeks in terms of cementing themselves as top performers against obstacles.
I think the biggest change will have to be like figuring out what goes on in the bot lane, because with the Relic Shield changes coming in, that's where you expect to see the biggest fluctuation. There's a lot of Keystone runes coming in, that they are coming in as one of the biggest changes in the next patch as well. So adapting to that. And I think bot lane is one where we see a lot of volatility. Generally, we're like Doublelift's losing to Cody, Sun, and Afro. That is also beating the CLG bot lane. They were losing a little bit to the Optic bot lane before that in their first game. So there seems like the bot lanes in particular are very closely matched.
Yeah. What about the mid lane meta? Jad, I know you've been playing a lot of mid lane yourself recently, but I think a lot of people would point to that as being one of the more stale roles at the moment, where we're kind of really only seeing about 4 champions played to a high priority, and then you got a couple, fringe picks coming in every once in a while.
Yeah, your ability to play Azir is huge, right? The Malzahar priority is going to go away, which I think is actually going to lower the priority of whether or not you can play Azir, because he just moves up to basically permaban status.
Okay.
And then I think after that, you get to open it up a little bit on 8.3, which, if we're talking competitive, is actually like halfway through the split.
Right, yeah, we got a ways to go before we get there.
Yeah, so because of all those things, the current mid lane landscape is going to stay mostly the same. But to kind of get to your earlier question of what I'd want to see from these teams going forward, it's a level of consistency and reliability in their play. We start an LCS on January 20th, right? 41 players we had 9 returning players on the same roster.
Yeah.
Right? Some teams practiced before the break. Some teams started practicing after the break. That's like 2 weeks of practice. We're in the 8th year of competitive league, and most of these guys have been playing together for 2 weeks. So there is a lot of growth to be had throughout the split. 100 Thieves showed a bunch today. Week 1 versus week 2, 100 Thieves, totally different animal. So I need to see that consistency and growth from each of the teams.
I think that's very impressive to point out, considering that Team Liquid was the team that was boot camping in Korea a long time ago, and they've been practicing for probably at this point close to a month now. So a team like 100 Thieves upsetting them, continuing to improve. There's a lot of room for growth for a lot of these teams, whereas for Team Liquid, what some people's concern was with this team was that they would start pretty hot, and then like how much do they improve given the built-in synergy from the Immortals days and the earlier boot camp.
Even looking at the team like Golden Guardians, right? They looked miserable last week, and they had a 7,000 gold lead this week, and they're with different champion picks than everyone else is having. So how long are they going to be doing that and sticking with that strategy versus spending the time to learn the champions that everyone else is playing if they think they can compete at that level? There's just so many things that are still needing to be developed for these teams, especially when you consider last year they're playing 5 to 6 games with 2 matches of best of 3s. Now they're playing 2 games and they're done.
And when we're talking about Golden Guardians specifically, we had the interview with Loco from earlier, and he pinpointed the same thing, saying yeah, it's wonderful to have a guy like Hai on your team, someone who is practiced, is a veteran, and can kind of help coach, direct the team. But at the end of the day, this is a 5-man game, more so now than ever before, right? As we're seeing, esports evolve and grow, when we're seeing more investment, and when we're seeing, more stake put into the coaching and the structures behind, the structure of the orgs behind the players, the importance of actually meshing and gelling as 5, and that is their goal. That is their focus. So that's been outlined. Now it's about, do they achieve that goal? And we have to track that over the coming weeks.
Well, I think for sure if they win this game, you got to kind of tip your cap to Hai, probably in-game meeting, like, hey, stay focused. I think if there's someone who's going to do that, you would expect it to be Hai between these 2 teams.
Yeah.
Hopefully about a minute away from getting back into game. No promises, but that's what I'm being told.
And that's the team that's been saying they're the most long-term of everyone else. Long-term is not game 3 victory. Like, long-term is they're winning some games by the end of the split. So if they do win and continue to pick up victories, they'd be way ahead of schedule based on their messaging.
We got that shot of Matt, scooting his chair over during the pause there. What do you say if you're Hai, you're in Hai's position, people are turning to you as the guy in the face of double pause, double punch to the face for our squad here and trying to, lock this game up. What do you say to your teammates? How do you get them back in that mindset that they can win this?
Well, I think it's interesting because they're actually in the middle of a game, not between games.
Right.
So a lot of the time, it's like, hey guys, keep your head up, like just we'll fit, like, you're giving like the general pep talk that you hear in sports movies and stuff all the time.
Right, yeah.
Whereas here you can specifically be like, no, look, they're getting low from the Baron. Like when we go back and play this again, like they're actually getting melted low. Let's focus a little more on poke. Maybe we don't need to go in aggressively. Or they're burning this thing down super fast. We got to go faster. And you can actually try to break the game down in this situation.
I think it's purely tactical in this moment. You're not getting the motivational speech. And that's why I think Matt came over, because they're pointing at the mini-map, planning what they're doing here. I think you can only do that for so long, and then they're going to do it, and they'll be like, okay, now everyone think about that and make sure you're getting it done.
And I think that's where you get to that point where it's like, we don't need this crazy inspirational speech, but you are going to need that person that can kind of keep the mood light.
I think you
and
refresh.
positive.
I think you refresh every 2 minutes, right? Like you can joke afterwards, but then, okay, by the way, this. Okay, by the way, this. Okay, by the way, this. Over and over again.
And in terms of people who can keep you, lighthearted, I think Hai is also another great guy for that. We remember, I know you remember when we were on stage in the playoffs in spring last year, and Hai was heckling us for our predictions, and I think he has that kind of like unbelievable ability to stay positive and like inspire confidence through action and word.
All right, well, with that, we're going to throw it right back over to Riv and Zyrene to get us back into this Game 5.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We are heading back into the game. Chrono break enabled, and Lourlo now on the front of the fight, just like before. Stunt taking quite a bit of damage. Call the
Shockwave
in and out. Triple brittle on the shockwave, triple on the backside. Hai very low with the redemption coming in. Slightly tops off Golden Guardians as they are looking at very low FlyQuest members. And Contractz will have 15 seconds to get himself back to the team.
All right, I'm ready to go. The crowd actually fed me. They were like, you actually hungry? Boom. Handed me some chocolate. I was down. But yeah, right there, Lourlo got the Chrono break back because of that and was able to kind of have a do-over on the ultimate. Ran up to point blank, ultied in their face, and then Hai with the shockwave completely dissuades that Baron. So the Contractz death ultimately ends up not actually affecting them too much. It's just a single death. The Baron doesn't go over, and they get the Ocean Break for themselves. So Golden Guardians being able to reset appropriately and not have the game, like I said, if that Baron goes over, it's probably time's up for the composition, but not have the clock really move against them just yet.
Still eyes on our AD carries or bot laners as we make it 33 minutes into the game. Deftly and Wildturtle having fantastic score lines and able to deliver the damage from the back. Kind of our junglers were the ones to watch coming into this game, and both have made their own little impact on both sides. Almost full participation from Onto there on the assists, and the same thing from Contractz with a kill of his own. Now they push towards mid lane for Golden Guardians. As Flame looks to rotate back over here and possibly cause some trouble. However, he's on a few wards.
Yep, Flame, though, has that teleport, so he's ready to TP in if there's a fight. And once again, remember, FlyQuest, even though we had been talking for the last few minutes about how, this is their way to get back in the game, and they look like they were in almost a checkmate situation, FlyQuest are behind. right? They have no turrets down to Golden Guardians 6. They have lost that
Very
bottom
good
inhibitor,
point.
right? So we have to kind of reset mentally ourselves and say Golden Guardians are actually in the lead by a decent amount here in terms of map pressure, and here comes a fight.
All the Forge got 1-2. They only get that really onto Lourlo. Deftly's in a good spot, but not in range to do damage. Contractz
Throwing that
looking
in?
for a squishy target, but there are not many for him to get at. And they now put themselves back in a defensive position. They have this warded out on the top side, and somebody's trying to pull the trigger on a pick target. Could be Stunt, squishy enough to take down, but he can get himself to safety.
Keane's backing so he can go and answer that minion wave. He'll swap to teleport as well from Ghost. So quick swap and able to pick up the minion wave there.
You consider a few super minions heading in down towards that bottom side. I wonder, Zyrene, have you actually ever had a game where you've gone from 0 turrets to Nexus if you were the team who was behind? Or have you already taken a top or a bottom to get that split push going? I don't know if you've had it. Shockwave going through. Turtle wondering where he went. His Stunt's going to be going down all the same. One for Contractz, one for Matt as they head for Baron.
Yeah, with the map pressure and the control, Golden Guardians immediately say, all right, it's time to plant some traps. And boom, Wildturtle gets snatched up and won pretty quickly.
Doesn't look like Onda's going to be able to do any flyby smitings on this one. Golden Guardians hold off that pressure that took down Contractz, reapply, and then they get themselves Baron.
Yeah, it's that reset for themselves. The fact that they were able to stop the Baron and then come back to this mid lane and have control, because that bottom late wave, right? I was saying we have to kind of take stock again of where the game was. Because FlyQuest, although for however long that pause was, X amount of minutes, they were in an advantageous spot for that entire pause based on the way things were looking. But now, Golden Guardians, we get to go, they are actually in an advantageous spot in terms of the entire game because of what happened with that Baron not going over to FlyQuest. So Golden Guardians, you gotta be feeling good and really a sigh of relief for themselves, because that was a position that if you're in, you might be thinking of the worst case scenario the entire time.
Yep. Not being shook by any amount of that delay, and now they're able to get themselves with this Baron that causes FlyQuest composition so much trouble in clearing the minions right back to the lanes. Right back with Lourlo mid lane, and they did the same thing with the rest of the team in bot lane. That's only going to be hit up onto Contractz and get himself to safety with that Guardian Angel still up. He could have even stayed a little longer if he wanted to, and now it's the waiting game. Let Lourlo get pushed up a little bit more and start to poke down FlyQuest. Well, not really poke down, they can, but start to look for the pick on FlyQuest.
Yeah, remember I talked about it earlier as well, the wave clear from the Golden Guardians composition is much better than FlyQuest's, where FlyQuest really do have to just rely on the Ryze. And his takes a bit of setup. So up against this Baron buff, Golden Guardians will push in.
Scary cat activated.
Lourlo on the side, doing the same thing they did for the bottom.
Just taking the hug of
Ornn.
Danger's grasp.
Oh,
that's gonna be a full
baby.
team hit. Brittle on the back line. There goes Onda. Can he deliver them to the right spot?
Oh!
Or back under the turret. This is gonna be the shockwave coming through. No, High hasn't been able to let it rip just yet. As Keane gets himself back out of that Zhonya's to deliver the damage. Now they start to get it going. FlyQuest pulls the trigger. Onda again back to the front line to the siege minion. They say you got a kill, and Deftly goes down. That's 11 to 10, and FlyQuest start pulling the trigger.
Yeah, Keane even used the Realm Warp to keep chasing, but their base, they had to pay attention to it. Still
Save it.
hitting away.
They'll save it. Super minion is gonna be able to not take it down. They got flame back.
Yeah, I don't think
and
they're actually doing damage to the turret because the inhibitor had respawned. So there were 3 inhibs up.
Had
They
to
couldn't
turn it.
actually target the turret itself.
little things playing in the favor of FlyQuest, but also things that they are putting on their own plate. A nice activation there as Golden Guardians took a bit too long.
Yeah, this right
And
here,
flames,
this Ornn
defensive
ultimate.
rip.
Oh, that slow into the knock up there onto 2, and then that gets high, and the Zac attack from Onda hits them together. 4. All of them get sent back. Instantly, High is off the table before he can even shockwave there, and he had already blown his flash. And now that's the cleanup right afterwards with Onda going in again. Another stretching strike hitting deftly. And we were talking about Zac a bit, not having that same kind of performance that he had against TSM last week. But right there, that's why you pick Zac. the team fight presence that he has in those late games to really displace those backliners. Comparing that to what the Rengar is going to be doing, which is ulting, running around, and trying to get damage on a squishy.
Usually you have to consider who you're pulling back, who you might bring back to your carries, but everybody grabbable here, it seems, on the side of Golden Guardians.
And Elders,
Pretty squishy members, but they do a lot of damage.
Contractz doesn't have flash to get over. He's going to have to leap around.
Trying to charge up his strikes, get them empowered as well. Lourlo on the front line, Glacial Fisher back. Call the Forge God, a 4-hit. If they can actually proc that Brittle, that would be quite a bit of damage, but they're going to stay in position. 2,900 onto the Elder Drake. Contractz jumps in from the top side, actually not going to be in the Smite Fight War as he was too far away. And FlyQuest just slipped that out from under Golden Guardian's nose and will have a little bit of pressure on the map.
I actually think it's a lot of pressure here because they have 2 Infernals and an Ocean, so it's a
Very true.
triple Elemental Drake, plus 2 of those are Infernal, which will give them a lot of damage onto this Ezreal as well as this Ryze.
40 minutes, first turret, better than never. They don't even have the minions to do it right now, so it's actually going to take a little longer than they'd like, but they might be able to just push this into a second turret. Might be scary to stay long. Flame is just on the back, though.
And from 0 to 2, just like that in terms of turrets. And now that top lane one actually has minion wave on it that's being pushed forward. And it's very low, so it might be 0 to 3 real quick.
Quite an influx of gold to globally be in the hands of FlyQuest. Not that they have a chance to go back and spend it all willy-nilly. There's a lot of pressure from Golden Guardians right now.
Yeah, and FlyQuest so far have been playing quite well. There have been opportunities for them to get into this game and kind of push away that early pressure from Golden Guardians. Now they've found a lot of those opportunities and taken them in these later game team fights. But getting that Elder Dragon, getting the gold back to even here is huge for them. And now they reverse the pressure of this entire game as their composition will show a lot of those strong points versus Golden Guardians for the next few minutes.
Ooh. Demolish smashing down these turrets. They use all of that quick pacing, as you said, to drop turrets 4 in their favor now globally, escalating their gold. And Golden Guardians are going to have a much harder fight next time FlyQuest exit the base. Baron up at 1 minute. Elder Drake has a bit to go still, as FlyQuest were just able to grab that and still have it.
Yep, and right now, Keane hitting himself with 6 items, getting that full build going through. And I just looked at the CS for him. It's almost 100 up over high. And remember, keep in mind, Keane is not supposed to be on this FlyQuest roster. It's supposed to be Fly. And Keane came in as the sub from the Academy team and hasn't had 2 weeks of practice, just a single week, maybe a little week and a half with the team.
And even positioning somebody for his position on the Academy team so he can focus on this play.
And I like that. I like that they're saying we don't want to have this person pull double duty, get him a sub for his previous role, and just move him up. That's what I like to see, because now he gets to focus with just this team instead of playing with 9 or 8 different people. He only has to play with 4 people and focus on that synergy, which is so important. And right now, he's just been doing so well. And last week, he was up against Bjergsen, and they got the win versus TSM. And I have to say, if you are playing 3 games with a substitute mid laner, and you go 2-1, that is more than you can hope for in an emergency situation.
Absolutely, it can easily be a focus from the other team. A quick non-disabled Bellows Breath from Flame. He gets hooked in, they're waiting for that to come back up. Lourlo says, I'll go in for the Twisted Advance. He's drawn a little deeper. A nice call to Forge God, but I think Golden Guardians to have a fight here. Stunt, getting to the front line. Lourlo very low as Chrono starts to deliver Mystic shots. Anda not finding the biggest target, but to take down Lourlo would be huge. He does get one back. High's forced to flash out. Shockwave is there, and he only gets one, but it's enough to drop down Stunt. It looks like they'll kind of reconsider the fight now. A lot of healthy bars on the side of FlyQuest, but they feel like the pressure is going to be what they want. They're okay with taking down, or Stunt rather.
Definitely a lot of health. Lourlo dove right in, and he didn't die. He was able to stay alive and used his stopwatch finally. That's the 43-minute stopwatch that you throw down as the Maokai, who already has... I mean, Lourlo already has Gargoyle Stoneplate. And now he had a stopwatch on top of it.
Turtle took a lot of damage. This is kind of fueling Golden Guardians to want the fight. Deftly and Contractz could not get in there to make anything happen, and they start to back off. They're trying to activate a little bit more with Stun out of the game. Top lane is pushing. Golden Guardians have to make a move soon here.
Golden Guardians on the Baron. They have Kalista, so the Rend could help them out there.
Looking for the entrance from high. He still has that shockwave, could put it towards the back line, and they know he's trying to route around as they don't see him with the full 4 Golden Guardians. A nice hit, locked in.
Going to the wall, the wall!
Just want to be in that fight. Contract's very low. That's going to be the Guardian Angel going down as Keane is in a bad spot. Saves himself for a second and gets a kill for the team, but it's a double now for Deftly, trying to turn Ornn into a pin cushion. Now gets abducted to the last second. Gets himself to safety though, as it does not fully connect. And now they look to continue the fight, pushing FlyQuest back. They did not get the engage that they wanted.
Yeah, and Flame there had a really good ultimate on Ornn, but then his E to escape as opposed to go in. I thought he was going to go in and try to get a multi-man knockup with his E, his searing charge into the wall, but decided no, goes out, get picked up by High, and then High drops as well. There's the redemption to reset the fight. This is just so back and forth around this Baron now.
Bot lane needs to be respected. Needs a little janitorial duty here for FlyQuest. Wildturtle looks like he'll be the one to pick that up. It's huge. 3 or 4 waves coming in, crashing on that inhibitor. And now Baron in the eyes of Golden Guardians. An open inhibitor on the bot side would mean top would definitely fall with pressure of whoever is there to add the split push.
Man, I really liked what Lourlo did in the previous 2 fights ago, I guess, where he had the stopwatch. And I was looking at it like he used to have stopwatch. He built that into a Gargoyle Stone Plate. He actually just purchased a stopwatch just to use it after going for a flash W play. He purposely bought it for, I'm going to dive in. When I take enough damage, I'm just going to use it. And now he swapped it out for a Giant Spell as we look at the Baron again.
Oh, the Forge God comes in. Box goes down so they can't try to answer that. Stunt in the front. Gonna throw up the shield to get a little bit of defense down here as Flame tries to do a bit more damage. Onda pulls the slingshot off. The team knows they don't have the aggression they might want to start the fight. And now they have a bit of vision with the saplings on the back line from Lourlo. Very touch and go, but nobody's going at this point. They're all a little too hesitant to take that final plunge.
Looking at minion waves on the side, looks like eventually Golden Guardian's top lane wave will shove all the way to FlyQuest, but that bottom wave looks like it's going to shove out from FlyQuest themselves. So right now, FlyQuest feel like they have to kind of make a move towards this top side of the map, figure out a minion wave if this doesn't go their way, but also just dancing with the Baron. Yeah, it looks like people are just looking for the right fight. Baron's at 3,000.
Contractz.
It's going to go down to a smite.
The headbutt out, 4-member attack there. Down, it's going to be the hit in from Onda. They get the Baron they wanted on the side of FlyQuest as the fight starts. The HP bars of Deftly and the members that need to be alive for Golden Guardians are being shredded. Lourlo now in the eyes as FlyQuest has chosen all of the squishies and then fundamentally the tanks. What a fight. What a game so far as they have been holding on to this one. Contractz trying to lead Stunt on a run, but FlyQuest pulls out ahead in a 1-for-3.
Yeah, FlyQuest also got the Baron for themselves. They're off of the smite from Onda, but then in the mid lane, they lose Keane. Doesn't matter, they're gonna keep pushing here.
FlyQuest 1-1 already in the NALCS. They look to make that 2-1 after having no turrets 30 minutes into the game. They are pushing hard now.
Yeah.
Here, 47 minutes in.
From 0 to 6 turrets. Now they have 2 more that they need to take in the mid lane.
24
seconds on the big wave clear. 15 on Deftly. FlyQuest gonna try to close it out.
Flame tanking already, getting on that turret. They're gonna be able to take one down. Focus on the Contractz, so they deny the damage onto the turret, but the first Nexus turret already goes down. FlyQuest looking to deny Golden Guardians the victory they've been looking for. And FlyQuest, half health on the Nexus, 47-40 in, will take it down. And will be 2-1 in the NALCS.
The game was 7 turrets to 0, and it ends 7 to 8. As the comeback from FlyQuest, where they had almost no map pressure, just completely blew up after the pauses.
Those pauses as well still held very strong, not kind of pushing Golden Guardians around. They kept the mentality after they needed to find different ends. They were still pressuring the base, but FlyQuest holding on. Very nicely done.
And remember, Golden Guardians were in the upper position before the pause, and then FlyQuest had a Baron position, and then after the pause, when Lourlo had the ultimate again, was able to do that fight kind of over. It looked like something where FlyQuest, they weren't able to actually get too much out of it. So it was back to the drawing board. Definitely an exhausting game, I would say.
Definitely an exhausting game.
I would say for the players, it's incredibly exhausting to be in that position
Absolutely.
for that long, having to think about that one moment, reset, make sure you're still in tune with the game. Because I say reset.
Trying to come up with different variant calls to kind of continue something in a different way, not repeating the same thing.
Yeah, and especially being behind for that long, figuring out what your avenues are back into the game and not overextending for them, right? Because we saw Golden Guardians with Matt go for picks when they had Baron control after the pause, right? They got picks onto Wildturtle and Stunt, and they got themselves that Baron, and then it was just turtling up, having the team fight top lane where Flame plus Anda as this combination with so much engage grabbed the backline and grabbed their hopes back into the game, and they did that multiple times.
And I'm great you brought attention to that because we came into this game saying Contractz, Anda, what's going to happen with a rookie of the split, right? When Contractz previously, well, how is this rookie going to fare against him, especially trying to play with a sub Keane and Flame in the top lane, who, if you get this guy going, it's huge, so you have a lot of things to do. An ult from him in the late game completely turning around with that top lane player in Flame, and we saw Anda able to follow up with those kind of critical thinking decisions the team needed.
And what I really liked about the way that he played it too was he was not the primary engage.
No,
he was secondary engage.
Yeah.
Flame would use the ultimate, and they would
Some
go
great
for
ultimates out there.
exactly, and you go kind of fish to slow people down. And then after Golden Guardians were focused in one area, this Zac comes flying in. So Matt would have to hold his hook and his flay and not be in a position to even lantern somebody off the front line. He would have to be where the Zac is going to go. It's hard to navigate those fights as a Zac, and he showed patience and really kind of knew when he had to go and when he shouldn't go. Because if you're starting those fights off, you're just going to get flayed pretty much every single time.
You made a good point there for Matt as well. It kind of makes it super hard, I guess, for anything he's on in support, because you have a guy flying over the wall, you have the Call the Forge God coming in, and you almost kind of have to just say, I think I need to put my box here 4 seconds before the fight starts, because you have to predict where Anda's coming from, who's going to follow that, and where Flame's going to be coming from as well. So that made his job quite hard. But right now, we're going to get a look at that game as we send it down to Avli May and FlyQuest support.
Thanks, guys. I am here with Stunt, successful support of FlyQuest. Now, after that game, oh my goodness, it looked so back and forth at a point. You guys were down 6 turrets at one time, I believe. What was the comeback? What was the turnaround point for you guys?
So the entire game we were behind, but we kept talking about how our scaling was better, and we kept racking up the dragons, you know, and eventually we just got to a point where we couldn't defend anymore, and we just had to fight them, and I think we just played the team fights better, which let us come back into the game. But it was a tough one for sure. Tougher than we expected.
Now, one of the things that made that game a little bit more tougher, I'm guessing on you guys mentally, is the pauses that came in. You had 2 of them. What do you guys do as a team to kind of come back with that mentality after such a long break?
So the pauses were... It was like such a like we just killed Rengar. It was like a huge high, and then the pause, we just lost all of our high. We're just like, and we had a little bit of time to talk about the situation. So I'm sure it's probably really funny. Everybody probably like thought of their every movement after the pause, and everybody probably played it exactly the way they would have wanted to. And yeah, everybody was just trying to keep each other focused, and yeah, the way they played it after the pause was like super good too. So we were caught off guard. We just thought we were going to get the Baron.
Well, you did, you got it, and you were successful. Now I want to ask about you yourself. Do you have any goals going into the split starting with FlyQuest?
Yeah, so if you guys don't know, our mid laner, Fly, is stuck in, he's having visa issues. So we were practicing with him for the majority of the time. So Keane had to step up, and he's doing a really good job. And so with Keane, we're kind of just trying to make playoffs, and then we're confident that we're gonna be able to beat other teams in a best of 5.
So Keane's gonna be with you guys all the way up until playoffs?
We're not entirely sure, but yeah.
All right.
We're hoping Fly's gonna come back soon. But Keane's doing awesome. Like.
Well, good job. Congrats to Keane. Fingers crossed for Fly. Thank you so much for this interview. And to finish up the game here, let's hear from our analyst at the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Avli. FlyQuest, rather, moving to 2-1. And I think actually something that we didn't talk about during those pauses was the effect that those pauses would have on FlyQuest.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about Golden Guardians having to deal with, you know, that break in time with the game kind of turning against them. But to Stunt's point, having just made that kind of game-saving, maybe game-breaking play, and then to have all that momentum sucked out from underneath you is equally as difficult a situation.
Exactly, and we're in a world as well where we're talking about all these shot callers and leaders, and they put this FlyQuest team together, and they're not even with Fly, they're with Keane, and it's Flame and Onda, a rookie jungler, Wildturtle, and Stunt, but yet they're the team that has now pulled out 2 victories in very long, close games, and credit has to be given to them there.
And they almost had to make the comeback twice, because before that pause, they successfully defended their bot inhib. Then they won a team fight in the top side, and then they pick off Contractz, and you're like, okay, they're turning this game around, come out of the pause, and they basically have to win 2 more fights in the top lane again to come back into the game. So very, very hard-fought victory.
Absolutely, but good to see them succeed. I do want to take a look at one replay as we kind of fly through this since we had so much time to talk about it. During this pause is the final replay here, 46 minutes in around the Baron.
Yeah, and this was FlyQuest actually forcing the Baron fairly hard, and because Contractz is squishy, he can't posture around the Baron. The Ornn ultimate buys time, but then it's still actually anyone's game. He makes it into the pit. What's interesting to note is it looked like he smoked early, and now Contractz is no longer a participant in this fight. He's used his leap and not doing anything.
And most importantly, Keane didn't die. He got really, really low there, but the front line of FlyQuest went in, supported him, made sure that he had room to breathe once he came out of that Zhonya's. And then Wildturtle doing a great job this entire game of putting out a ton of damage, able to take down enough critical members of the team that now Onda goes on his kind of annoying duty, just making sure Maokai can't get back to
Chasing
defense.
around the map,
Yeah, so that they can actually end that game.
Look at that gold graph, though. 8,000 gold lead by Golden Guardians before 30 minutes. So they will be kicking themselves if they were not able to pull a victory out of this one. So yes, FlyQuest did some really good fight forces with the Ornn that was unblockable based on Golden Guardians team comp to set up onto Zac ultimates, which were huge factors in those team fights. But Golden Guardians still had that huge lead.
Let's keep talking about that guy. Onda stepped up huge to earn player of the game and joins 4 other members who earned that accolade today. Those 4 are Febivin, Hansert, Dardoch, and Ryu. But I do want to talk about Onda as a rookie jungler.
Someone needs to start banning this guy, Zac, because he's a complete beast on it. The early game did not work out very well, obviously, but then in the team fights where they finally started winning these games, he basically obliterated the backline of Golden Guardians, landing onto high, holding his ultimate until high flashes, getting the Q on and pulling him back, then to use his ultimate. Those kinds of plays just show that he understands the champion very well.
Remember when Fevivin got a pentakill?
That was a while ago.
That was a while ago. That was earlier today. I almost forgot about that. What an exciting first game to kick it off with. You follow that with that 60-plus minuter from TSM where they eke out their first victory of the split. Dardoch on his new home in Echo Fox, 3-0 start for them. I mean, the NALCS right now, not at all what I had imagined it would be, but exciting me even more so than I expected.
And that Dardoch game with Echo Fox versus C9 was so back and forth the entire time. We focused a lot on Liquid Huni there, but a lot of great performances all around. Monster Terror calls out of Adrian. The whole team was playing very, very well that game, and Dardoch made sure to support Huni at the critical times.
All right, well, as we wrap up the day, let's see how the teams stack up. Up in the top, only 2 teams remain undefeated, with 100 Thieves and Echo Fox sharing first place. Cloud9, Team Liquid, they dropped the 3rd alongside Clutch Gaming and FlyQuest. Earlier, we brought in another set of predictions in hopes of putting Mark and Jad's picks into perspective, but the good old coin, it went 0-5 on the first day of broadcast.
Only day, it's not coming back.
Get crushed. You thought a coin could beat the
My
animal.
boy George let me down.
Dash.
George, what are you doing to me, man?
We're never bringing this coin back.
This coin will not return.
No coins. All right, don't be specific.
Coins cannot predict the NALCS.
I'm going to smelt it and make it a ring and wear it.
Right, but I'm going to go ahead and open my inbox to suggestions for other methods of prediction.
I'm going to throw the coin in the wishing well and wish that a coin never tries to predict a game again.
Here, you can have, you know what? I don't want this. This is bad luck.
Who needs a coin?
You can have that. Make your wish. Throw it away, please, dear God. I'm very proud of you both for outdoing the coin. It actually did even you guys up in the standings, as we saw. 9-6 apiece for the both of you. So going in tomorrow, hopefully we get a little bit of a tiebreaker in the predictions. And speaking of which, let's look ahead at tomorrow's games. First up, we've got Echo Fox, who hope to sustain their undefeated streak against TSM. And then Cloud9 take to the stage against 100 Thieves with Team Liquid versus Clutch Gaming to close out the weekend. Let's talk about this for a bit. Any matchups that are jumping out at you as big ticket ones?
Predictions are excruciating. right now for these games, because I can actually in my head make an argument for any of these games going back and forth. Like the big ticket items are the undefeated teams trying to remain undefeated. Even Echo Fox against TSM preseason, you would have had TSM as the favorite, but based on these games, like Echo Fox looks so great.
That's games 1 and 2, by the way.
I was about to say
that's games 1 and 2 tomorrow.
I like game 5, Team Liquid versus Clutch Gaming. Team Liquid in 2 of their games have come out kind of lackluster in the first 20 minutes of the game. They throw their leads away. They're not making huge advantages, and then that's a little scary. Clutch Gaming, we've seen how aggressively Forbidden can take over a game, so that's one that I'm going to be looking at as well, because they're both at 2-1.
All right, well, there you have it. Stay tuned on Riot Games Stream for a rebroadcast of Week 2, Day 2 of the EU LCS. But now, for myself, the casters, the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for more NALCS. Good night.
I am probably going to pick COG every game until at least week 4.
This could be the penta. On towards Rain over the bind is there. Give it to him. He deserves it. And a penta kill for Fevivin.
Get the penta.
Clutch Gaming improving to 2-1.
This side. I got it. Nice.
FlyQuest will take it down.
5W.
Promise to Johnny.
Okay. She's dead. No. I'm going.
The Gathering Storm, 2.5 BF sword, baby.
Wait, which one is new? The one without the label on it. Oh, right. The settings are fine. I'm ready.
Okay, ready.
Once again, Crimson Rush just about to come up. That would keep Impact alive. Sunday just under the turn. Oh, he gets him as it comes out.
Protect. Watch, is there in the back?
J4, blood.
We got it. Good job.
1, 2, 3, hold it.
Oh! No way, Dardock! The Arctic Assault prediction.
And do it.
One more time over the wall.
He's in.
1512. Oh, baby! Baron steals the Baron.
Play slow.
Right, that's Anya's.
Play slow. Play with this.
Back. Nice.
Nice. And Johnny, end.